yes, you're welcome to Talking Figures today on 2.3 Nigeria Info. It's time to untangle the complexities of the business world. How are you doing? How's the money in your pockets? How is your business? How's your career? How's your dream and your goals? Are you hitting your target? Thank you for joining me today, the 21st day in the month of February 2024. February just started and it's already wrapping up. Good or bad for you, I don't know, but I am happy to be here with you today. Let's talk figures. My name is Choma Ezenwafo, and today I cannot help but think about the high cost of living. In the past days, we've seen it even worsen with the petrol scarcity and all the petrol situation we've seen happen across the country. Here in Rivers State, it has been crazy for a lot of people. Some people have had to go late for work, go late for school runs, and the rest of them. It's been crazy this week for a lot of people. And if you're one of them, I am so sorry. And that you have to go through all of what we've been through this week. And of course, the heat wave is still there. And these are not the best times to be alive, is it? But we have to push through, right? Anyways, in the past 10 years, Nigeria has seen a lot of changes in taxes. Okay, while I think about the high cost of living, I also cannot help but think about our taxes, and we've seen a lot of changes in Nigeria in recent times as well. Unlike the federal government, the changes in states, their own changes is usually based on wanting to get more money into their pocket to be able to execute their budget, not really because they want to make things easy for businesses. And so we've seen a lot of changes. If you look at River State, for instance, we've seen quite a number of reforms. That's a fancy word. Okay, we've seen it happen when it comes to collecting taxes, when it comes to paying them as a business person, or even you are just an employee. We've seen the River State Tax Management, that's RIF-TAMIS. It came up in 2018 to tackle multiple taxation and improve the ease of doing business. That's like a cliche, you throw it around a lot within government space. We hear that a lot. But is it really happening? Anyways, let's stay with River State reforms now. So also in River State, we've seen the launch of the River State Tax Identification Number. I think it also happened about the same year with RIF-TAMIS. And of course, the value added tax case of 2021. If you follow the drama that went down at the time when the last administration had taken the federal government to court and they needed the interpretation of who exactly should be collecting VAT and income taxes. And then the Federal High Court at the time ruled that the state government should be collecting it. And the state government at the time, the River State government, that's the Wike-led government at the time, actually set up a law to ensure that it is the River State government that would be collecting the VAT. But they went to the appeal court, and that's where they were told to halt all actions. Everyone maintain status quo. I think that's actually how they said it. Everyone just hold your peace. Stay and do nothing until we determine this case. And the case is still in court as I speak. And why they are still in court, I understand that the federal government is still taking VAT at the moment. And so when it comes to tax reforms in River State, my point is we've seen quite a number of it. Recently, the River State Tax Justice and Governance Platform, in collaboration with their partners, they spoke up about the tax system in River State. I think it's not going well according to them. They actually made a number of recommendations, and it left me with one question, which is why I'm asking on the show today: how do tax reforms in River State affect you? How does it affect your business and small businesses especially? I would like to know, how can fairness be ensured? More importantly, is multiple taxation still an issue in River State? Share your thoughts with me on the show today. Yes, share your story if you have one. We are live on Facebook and YouTube at Nigeria Info PH. And don't forget to drop your comments on Twitter, as we now know it as X, at Nigeria Info PH. Yes, you can also drop your thoughts there. And of course, if you're a WhatsApp person, yes, you can also send me a message on WhatsApp. Send it on 0809 030 6416. 0809 030 6416 is a WhatsApp number to drop your messages. I'm asking So many questions, but the one I would really like you to key in right now to help me understand is multiple taxation. If you're in your business area right now, when was the last time you saw different faces coming at you and asking for different rates and taxes, and how did that pan out? I would like to know, is multiple taxation still an issue in Rivers State? And I'll be reading your messages in a bit. And a member of that platform, that's a member of the River State Tax Justice and Governance platform, is joining me on the show today. We'll find out more in a bit. Basically, that's our big conversation today. But of course, you know how we do it on Talking Figures. We do Market Watch first, and then we come back to the elephant in the room, like I call it. So first, let's dive right into Market Watch to bring you the latest insights that matter. I mean, all of it. I mean, from the high cost of living is everything. You once you just step out from your house, 5K drops. You move 2 more steps, 10K drops. Oh my goodness, how much are you earning? That's a reality for a lot of Nigerians. If you do not know, perhaps maybe you've been under the rock or something. Please now know. So we have a story about the petrol, and we have a story about. Let me see now. We have this news. The National Public Relations Officer of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, Okadike Chinedu, has warned that a further petrol price hike if the dollar continues to rise. He thinks if the dollar keeps, of course, you know, as of yesterday, it was 1,800 and something. And then we had at some point a trend of people, how did they even put it? Is it Journey to 2000 that they called it on Twitter? As of yesterday, it was trending. And so many people, especially those who store their money in dollars, felt it should please keep going up. But the basic average Nigerian says, please, enough. Let's stop. Please, someone do something. Press a button or something, and let's all wake up from this horrible nightmare. Anyways, back to petrol. So if dollar continues to rise, petrol prices could go up, this IPMAN official have said. And how does that change all of what's going on at the moment? I mean, it's obviously going to affect everything. And it's also important that you keep an eye on it. If you're a business owner in Nigeria or you're listening right now, it's important that you keep an eye on what's going on in the oil and gas sector to understand exactly what it is that the government is going to do to turn things around at this time. A weakening naira is denting profits. That's clear. That's why you should actually pay attention to it. For business owners, especially those in industries that rely on transportation, energy, the implication of a further increase is significant. It's going to be very significant for you because, of course, it's going to mean that you probably would have to increase your own price. And so if you see, this is still the first quarter. We're about to delve into the last month of Q1 and then plans for Q2. And we're going to do a lot of assessment by next month. Some businesses, the month of March is a month of just, wrapping up the Q1 and preparing for Q2 for a lot of people. So what this can do for you right now is for you to know that inflation is still going to keep happening. Things are going to keep going up, and we haven't seen the worst of it yet, apparently. I'm not a business analyst like Mr. Ignatius Chuku, but looking at this story, that clearly tells you what it is we're going to see in coming days. And closely related to that one is what's happening currently in Port Harcourt. We understand that lots of drivers have had to increase the number of passengers that they take on in their vehicles. And does it mean all rules are thrown out the window? I don't know, but perhaps that's also one of the ways to weather the storm. But with more passengers in your vehicles, commercial drivers may face increased wear and tear of their vehicles. That's something they should also look at. It's talking figures, so let's talk figures. And so why you think you're going to make more money when you have 5 people instead of 4 in your vehicle? you're going to be carrying more weight, which I don't know how good your vehicle is and how it's able to withstand that amount of load. Of course, some people do not come alone; they come with their luggage and all of that, and so it also gives me wondering whether there's going to be any form of compliance. I mean, some people say that most times the regulatory agencies just look away and do not look at the commercial drivers and the rules that they break. Talking about road safety now, it's not even safe to carry more than required, no matter how expensive the petrol gets. But that's really something to also keep an eye on. When it comes to transportation, I mean, it's almost like people are there's this option of leg this Benz because commercial transport is no longer cheap. Okay, obviously, it's no longer cheap. That's reality. But that's also what we're keeping an eye on. We're watching that as well. And to wrap up this segment, that's the Market Watch segment, wrap it up with what we saw happen yesterday. The Senate resolving to investigate the 30 trillion naira ways and means loans of the Central Bank of Nigeria, which they got and spent in the last administration. That's the President Muhammadu Buhari administration. We saw that the 30 trillion naira, if you remember, just towards the end of that administration, this was done. It was one of the swiftest, if there's any word like that, of approvals that we saw at the time. And Ways and Means, of course, is a loan facility through the CBN finances, and it's already been spent 30 trillion naira. It was supposed to be money that you when you do not have enough as a government, you use that money for your budget. So the Senate is worried that the money may have been spent carelessly, especially during the time that the former CBN governor was in charge. And they believe this is the reason we are seeing food insecurity issues at this time. Let's see what comes out of it. And then if you're a business owner, I think you should also keep very close eye on this one and understand exactly what it is it will bring in coming days. Because if they're going to be investigating this particular loan, I mean, it touches on agencies, other agencies, federal government agencies are usually, it's like when they were probing, auditing the NDDC, operations were slowed, and I think a lot of contractors had to suffer that, if I'm not mistaken. So that's really what I mean by this one. If there is something like this going on, yes, a probe is good. It means that we, for once, are thinking accountability and transparency, and we should think more of that. But then as a business owner, if you're a contractor or you're a supplier of any sort, you should just see how this affects you and adjust appropriately accordingly, actually. And that's it on Market Watch today. Now it's time to talk taxes, the tax system. What is it that you've seen happen in River State? Is multiple taxation still a problem in River State? I'm using still because we know before now it was. So is it? That question is very important, especially before after a platform in River State came up to say that they need the government to do something. They gave recommendations, which I'm going to be sharing in a bit. And so let's go on and introduce the guest. She's here already seated, and then we delve into this. At some point, of course, I'm going to open the phone lines and get your thoughts, and also help us understand what it is these recommendations are and why they are important at this time. I have a lot of questions, but I'm first of all very happy that Dr. Dame Eunice Odum is joining me in the studio today. She is the chairman, coordinator of Society of Women in Taxation, and she's here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my dear.
Yes, good afternoon, Doc. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you could join us. And then there were talking figures, and we are ladies talking figures, enough of the men.
That's interesting.
Yes, very interesting. And so I'm going to perhaps start with the very first one when it comes to taxation in River State. Where are we with it? What are the main reasons behind changing tax rules in River State, and how do they help the economy?
Well, as we know, good afternoon. Like you said, I'm Dr. Eunice Odum of the Society of Women in Taxation, Rivers State chapter. As we know, tax is law-driven. You don't wake up one morning and set up one rate of tax or charge anything you like. You have to refer to law guiding that particular tax. And as it is, like you were talking about multiple taxation means different things to different people. But I'm going to take it based on the general public doing business in Rivers State. It's the micro and the nano businesses, because they are the ones feeling the pains a lot right now. Where different types of revenue collection agents come to collect tax of different nature, be it on behalf of the state government or local government or whatever. As long as different people, or you're coming to a particular taxpayer over and over again, no matter the name you give it, these people paying all this tax and levies see it as multiple taxation. And that does not help people at this level doing businesses, because the amount of money
it's 2 days, so total experience with Pastor Amechi Udako at Love World City at Harley Farm Road, Port Harcourt on the 23rd of February from 7 p.m. till
And before that break, we're examining the tax reforms in Rivers State and checking out if there's been progress or not. And I have with me in the studio Dr. Dame Eunice Odum, the coordinator, Society of Women in Taxation, Rivers State chapter. And she was breaking it all down for us, helping us understand, basically laying the background. So if you're just joining us, you joined at a good time. Yeah, ish. You joined at a good time. And she's really laying that foundation before we had to go on that break. She's still here in the studio. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you very much, Elsa. Good afternoon once again. We were talking about multiple taxations and the laws guiding them. Like, tax is law driven. And there are three key agents when it comes to taxation. You have the taxpayer, you have the tax administrator, which is the different tiers of government, and you also have the tax consultants, who are the experts in interpreting taxes and also helping taxpayers to understand and how to pay taxes. So when it comes to law, there are certain laws made at the national level that need to be domesticated at the lower level to be applicable at that level. And those taxes also have to wear human face and be friendly. There were some taxes at the national level that the Rivers State House of Assembly were trying to domesticate, that they call harmonization. That document is very, very necessary, because it broke it down to the level the layman can understand which tax they were responsible to pay, how to go about paying them, and then where to ask necessary questions if the need arise. So that is where the laws that the Rivers State government were making towards taxation were, and we feel it is necessary, because in the end, when they do it in the way and manner it's supposed to be done, the taxpayers will have more information available to them, and will also have more help desks that they can refer to get help when they are stuck. Like now we have the Rivers State Internal Revenue Service that is somehow computerized or digitized. I say somehow because it's not fully digitalized, because there are certain things that you still need to go to them. If it is fully digitalized, you can sit in your office
and you don't know any of their staff.
Sit at their desk, sit in front of your desktop and carry out whatever process you want to do. If it is payment of tax, if it's inquiry about your receipts, or if it is your annual tax filing, you can do those things without going into the tax office, because let's face it, time is money. The more you leave your own station to go somewhere else with the traffic and all the agents on the road stopping you here and there, asking for whatnot, some of them may not be necessary, but all those things are time delaying, and it really doesn't help a business operator.
What are the biggest problems in collecting and paying taxes effectively in this state?
Well, one, the tax administrators in the state is a Rivers State Internal Revenue Service. They have the sole responsibility of collecting tax on behalf of the government.
Except VAT, though.
Except VAT, because that is still under litigation.
Yes.
When it comes to personal income tax, stamp duties, even corporate tax for small business owners like enterprises and self-employed, the state government collects all those. So they are the ones with the sole responsibility of collecting such taxes. And before they can do it effectively, they need to know the taxpayer. They need certain information about taxpayer. They have to identify them. Once you identify them, you know their business, know their capitalization, because tax is based on income. You don't just place tax.
How much is coming into a business?
How much is coming into it is the profit aspect of it, so that the person can be taxed correctly. You need to get information about these things, which is why you need to do enumeration. Their business, you can put your tax on them. You'll be doing it on real and right information, not something arbitrary, not something you do on best of judgment. Your best of judgment may not be right. So the problem is that there are so many collection agents collecting all manner of taxes, which in the end does not get into the government coffers. And the business operators, especially the small business operators,
the informal sector
feel harassed. Although a lot of the informal sector like to, evade tax.
Interesting.
So they like to run from it. But then, given the right condition, a lot of them will want to pay and be able to do their business in a peaceful atmosphere. So how do you encourage that? You engage them. You give them a lot of information. You come to them. Don't wait for them to come to you. They don't have the time.
That's the tax administrators now.
Yes, the tax administrators need to go to the taxpayers. A number of them are self-employed. And the more they leave their business and come to you and waste time, 1 or 2 days, their business is suffering. At a time, there was a talk about setting up tax tables in different markets where people can be given information.
How did that turn out?
It didn't quite get off the ground. There was a change in administration and they died there. Yes.
So multiple taxation is still an issue in Rivers State.
It is.
So what happened to all those RIF, all kinds of acronyms we saw?
RIF Tamis is there. It's trying.
Why is it
not
still
has a long way to go.
Okay.
RIF Tamis is there. Sure enough, they give you a number. It works with TIN number. You go and do your registration. They will assign a number to you, which is called TIN number, tax identification number. And with that tax identification number, you can set up your information on their database. And that will allow you to make payments when you are assessed using that number. And then also coming back to the RIF Tamis to feed information about what you've paid and all that. From there, they will also issue you receipts to cover your payments. And at the end of the year, when you need to do your annual return, that's more like a reconciliation between what you ought to pay and what you have paid. In most cases, you may not end up paying exactly what you ought to pay, depending on how it's being calculated. You may pay more or you may pay less. During this reconciliation period, they can now arrive at what you ought to pay. If there is a deficit, you make it up.
Do you go there on your own, or you should come with a professional, perhaps a tax consultant? What would you advise?
For a layman, you may not understand it well enough to handle it by yourself, which is why I'm hammering on education and engagement. In a situation where there are people from the tax administrator to explain these processes well, the taxpayer can do it on their own. But where the information is not available, the taxpayer is at a loss. He or she may not understand. Don't forget the people we are aiming at, people at the lower level. Some of them may not have the right knowledge of taxation and the processes you go through. So the information needs to be made available to them in the language they will understand. And then the forms that need to be filled, somebody needs to guide them to fill them properly. And when it also comes to declaration of income, it's not every money in your business you declare as your income. So a professional also needs to guide them, because you need to remove your expenditures, your allowable expenditures that you used in making the profit. So things like that have to be removed.
How is the cost of living? How do you think the current cost of living is affecting all of this mathematics that you've been doing? Expenditure, like, how, let's use rice, for instance. A bag of rice just in December was barely up 50,000 naira. I don't think it was 50, even up. It was about 40 something.
I bought 50.
Some of them was
during December.
40. Maybe by last week of December, it entered 50. But today is double the price.
At least it's close to 80.
So imagine someone who exhausted what they had in December and took the money and then went to restock, only for him to get to where
less.
And the money in your hand can no longer get you the same amount.
Exactly.
How does that affect taxation? I mean, these are legit business people who do not like to owe government, who want to pay their taxes, but their numbers are no longer adding up.
It may not add up, but then don't forget the fact that tax is based on profit. If the price goes up, it affects your profit. If you were making a profit of, say, 20,000 on a market of 100,000, and the prices go up suddenly, you may be making 5,000 naira.
Okay, see what I mean.
You declared income of 20,000 before, you'll be declaring an income of 5,000, and tax on 20,000 and that of 5,000 cannot be the same.
See what I mean? You've done the declaration for December. You've done this is what, and then you think you made profit, only for you to go to the market. Only for you to go to the market and see that it's now double the price. That means you actually didn't make profit.
No, for that year you made profit because tax works from January to December.
Okay.
If by the end of the year you've made your declaration, that is for that previous year, and you're paying tax on that year. The one that applies to this year where prices have risen, you would declare at the end of year 2024.
Okay.
Yes.
And so that means it actually kind of benefits businesses, does it?
It does not.
Or does it affect the amount of tax the administrators collect?
No. Anything that reduces your profits affects your tax and also affects the administrators. Because if they were getting a tax of, say, 1 billion every month when you were making enough profit, as the prices go up and you're making less profit, they may not collect up to 1 billion again. It may not come down to about 600 or thereabouts million.
Okay, so you're saying that our internally generated revenue could also be taking a hit.
Yes,
at the moment with
they will. Yes.
Now let's look at the recommendations of the River State Tax Justice and Governance Platform. I read the communique on Friday, right?
Yes, last week.
I was going through that and I found some recommendations quite interesting. One of them being that, where is it now? You said that you want a joint state and local government tax collection system. And you believe that it would make it more efficient, transparent, and accountable. How so?
Yes, that comes under harmonization. We have, like every tier of government has its own tax administrator. At the state level, you have the Internal Revenue Service. At the local government level, you have the Joint Revenue Committee. And you discover that most of these multiple taxes are being collected by local government. Yes. And when they use force, you also discover that most of those who collect tax by force are usually from the local government.
Okay.
At the state level, most of the staff with internal revenue are well trained. They understand the tax law and they go by the tax law. You can't go to a shop and decide to take properties away simply because you gave somebody an assessment of 20,000 for fire extinguisher. And the person says, I don't have money to pay there and then. He said, for that reason, I'm going away with your generator. No, it doesn't happen like that with trained people. So when there is a joint revenue collection committee comprising of both the state and the local government, because that's where most of these multiple taxes come to play. Some taxes the state will collect and the local government will come and say, this is our own, we need to collect. So when they agree to have a committee to see to the collection of the taxes, they will collect once. After collecting, it goes into the pool of fund and they come to some terms on how to share it between the local government and the state. That way you have less people bothering the business operators. Because
we also have some people, I think fraudsters have also used that to rob people. They take away the goods, but they're actually not from the local government.
They are not. All these illegal collection agents, some of them will get a letterhead and put whatever account fake, number, the fake ones there and collect.
Now let's look at communities. I know that in some markets you see all kinds of community levies. Where does all of that come in? Because you see there's a particular market I know, they have the levy from the women, from the youth, from the CDC, from the paramount ruler. Oh my goodness. And by the time you calculate how much, today is Wednesday, right? The popular oil mill market. We've done the story multiple times where traders tell us they pay almost 10,000 naira per space.
It's believable.
Per space. And so that has seen an increase in the price of goods. The goods there.
Yes.
And we've had this conversation severally. What do you say to that?
When it comes to community things, we're careful how to go into those. We leave those.
They are delicate matters.
Yes, they are. We leave those for the traditional rulers and the gatekeepers over there. We're looking at the official taxes collected by the government.
But when you deal with all of this and then the communities are still not able to harmonize that, does it solve the problem? I mean, when we talk about joint state and local government taxes, and we still have the communities running around these business people.
Don't forget, the local governments also collect taxes in the market. So let's identify the official ones and deal with them. And in time, the unofficial ones coming from the communities may be minimized.
Okay.
But at this particular point in time, it's coming from the community, it's coming from the government, it's coming from left, right, and center.
Matching ground and all of these things.
All of that.
Now, would you recommend that the community levies are also infused into local government taxes? Perhaps let them sort themselves out of government, so when the business owner pays to government, they are the ones who settle communities. Would you recommend something like that?
It depends on who built the market.
Oh, yes.
It depends
Private
on who owns the market.
markets.
There are private markets. So if it is not built by the government, you cannot
Government
really
shouldn't interfere
there.
That's very true. Now let's look at another recommendation here, where we see that you're recommending that all taxes and rates should be categorized and made payable on a cluster basis. What do you mean?
Yes, like you have different types of taxes that come under the state government. You have your personal income tax, you have your stamp duties and all other different type of taxes, including levies. What we are saying is that the ones that belong to a particular set of people, you group them together. That's still making it possible for there to be one collection point. But once you cluster them, in the cluster, there are different subheadings, so that once it's collected, it can now go to where it belongs. We do not have different people coming for personal income tax, different people coming for stamp duty, business premises, different people coming for other levies. So for any business that all these things are collectible from, it is built in such a way that once your name comes up, it will indicate what your personal income tax is, what other taxes applicable to you are, and then one single assessment can be made on you, and then you pay without different agents coming to disturb you at the same time.
Okay, now let's open the phone lines at this time. If you have questions for the coordinator of Society of Women in Taxation, she's a member of this River State. Where is that thing now?
Society of Women in Taxation.
No, yes, I've said that one, but you are most importantly a member of River State Tax Justice and Governance Platform. Yeah. And they've come up with a couple of recommendations on how to improve the tax reforms in River State. And we're talking about these tax reforms and the progress made, especially because the reform, as we saw, it started in 2018-ish. And I'm asking also what it is for you when it comes to your business. Do you still experience multiple taxation? Is this still a problem in River State? Call me up 0817-923-0002. You can also call 0817-923-0003. The WhatsApp number 0809-030-6416. The WhatsApp number. Your thoughts at this time on the lines are open, and I'd like to know whether you've experienced multiple taxation situations, or perhaps the ones that I've seen people talk about a lot of times, where people just drive to your shop and ask you to pay one ridiculous amount, and when you're still trying to understand what they're saying or asking for identification, they give you a dirty slap, and that's when they are dragging your items from your shop. I know all of those has happened several times. We've even lost count. And so we're asking, is multiple taxation still a problem in River State? And when it comes to tax reforms, it started, we've had the whole Rift Armies. I remember at the time of that particular platform being launched, and how he said it's going to curb multiple taxation, is going to improve the ease of doing business in Rivers State. Has it done that? Has it done that? Has it done that? That's what we're discussing today. And what is it that you would recommend? I mean, this organization, or rather this platform, which is made up of different CSOs and different organizations, they've done their own recommendation. And here we are now. We would like to know what it is that you would recommend based on your own experience. Phone lines are open, 0817-923-0007. There's also another number that you can call. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, is that Nigerian?
Yes, it is. We're talking taxation. What are your experiences?
I thank you, the guest, for the enlightenment she's giving. I want to find out what happens if a business declares loss in a year.
Okay. You had that?
Yes, good afternoon.
Hello, that's the question I have.
Yes, she's listening. Thank you for calling.
You do not pay tax on loss. Taxes are based on profit.
And based on your books, you have to be writing everything.
Yes.
It cannot be...
You have to make your declarations. Your books have to be up to date and audited. And based
by
on the
external auditors.
Yes. And based on the figures declared as your bottom line. That's what the tax is based on. It's a lot. You don't pay tax on it.
Okay. Let's hear now from Adobe. Adobe is calling from Elelenwo. Yes, you have to kill that voice so we can hear you. Good afternoon.
There was a time that we were paying tenement rates. So they even took us to court without, where my position, they took us to court without our notice. So, and somebody was signed for us in court, in the magistrate court. I think it was 2 days to the verdict before they served us a letter. But we were not paying tenement rates. We went to court. We found out that somebody was signing for us, and we have paid tenement. We are paying tenement rates. So if it's sometimes most companies are not aware that some group of people, we take them to court, and maybe and they're not even aware that their case is in court, and they'll be their businesses will be shut. Will be shut down because of lack of evidence by court, or lack of the business not being aware that he or she has a case in the court. And multiple taxation is still going on up to now. You can have 6 or 5 people serving you the same thing like tenement rate.
Thank you.
So I feel that it would be really wise decision for River State government to come up with a platform that you can pay all your taxes in one, both state and local governments. That will make the ease of business in River State free and fair.
Okay, thank you so much, Adobe from Elelenwo there. Let's take another call. Hello, good afternoon. You're live. Good afternoon. All right. What do you think of Adobe's thoughts?
Yes, I would have loved to know which authority took her to court.
Oh, yes, she didn't mention
She
that.
didn't mention whom. Because it is illegal for somebody to take you to court and not inform you, and somebody else is signing on your
That
behalf.
looks like a racket going on.
It is. It's one of these illegal bodies that are
Why do they thrive so much? Even they make the noise louder than the legit ones. Why?
Because they are not being prosecuted. If I'm doing the wrong thing and you find me out and you imprison me, the next person will be careful doing what I did that took me to jail. But nobody is holding them responsible for their action, and a lot of them are getting away with it. So some even see it as a business. You don't collect government money and put in your pocket. It's not yours. So that's all I can say. For somebody to take you to court, you need to know who is taking you to court and get why they are taking you to court. Get to know.
Interesting. Yeah, 0817-923-0009 is also another number that you can call. We'd like to know what you think. Should we be talking harmonization on a deeper level? Because that's what the platform, the River State Tax Governance, Tax Justice and Governance Reform and Platform is recommending. They're recommending a deeper and higher harmonization that would include state and local government. They're recommending clusters. They're actually making lots of recommendations. And have you been able to give that recommendation to any state government, and how was it received?
It's been submitted to the Internal Revenue, which is the administrator to the state government. And before the end of this week, a copy will also be submitted to the government house.
Okay.
As for the governor.
How was that received?
There has been no official comment about it.
Okay. And we've also tried to reach out to the RIRS to see the possibility of such harmonization. Do they have the capacity, or do we have to maybe merge RIRS with some other agency for them to be able to have the level of capacity to collect?
I feel that RIRS need to work with a number of professionals.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of work that need to be done.
The Gospel Faith Mission International, Mercy District, Oibo, presents Total
Odum, the coordinator of Society of Women in Taxation, her final thoughts based on what we've discussed here today.
Based on our discussion today, I feel that the tax administrator for River State, being the River State Internal Revenue Service, needs to work with some professionals in the state. One, to get as many people as possible in the informal sector into the tax net.
Okay.
Get information accessible to them, teach them, let them learn, let them understand the taxes that they need to pay, because what you understand, you comply. If you don't understand, it will be difficult for you to comply. And the more people understand and comply to tax, it becomes a win-win situation. There'll be more money going into the state coffers as taxes, and you will not even spend so much chasing people to pay tax. People know their responsibilities to tax and do it as at when due.
Okay.
Effortlessly. And if you go to them rather than wait for them to come to you, it will make it even better, because these people don't have that time to be coming and going from your offices to get to know what they should pay, how they should pay it, when to get receipts, when to do returns, the type of information you need from them. Get a station put in the marketplaces, in even all the artisans and strategic locations. Cluster them and make information available to them. Teach them what they need to know about taxes, and they will be happy to comply in the end.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, that's a good way to wrap up. She's a member of the River State Tax Justice and Governance Platform, and she's the coordinator of Society of Women in Taxation, Dr. Dame Eunice Odum, there, sharing all that she can about tax, and I hope we've helped you figure it all out today. Join us again next week, Wednesday, 2 p.m. is the time. Talking Figures will be here again. I'm Choma Ezewan for signing out. See you next week.